everyone. This is Naina MD, right here in Beverly Hills, fusion of science and beauty. And as you know, it's my passion to bring anti-aging, functional, regenerative, and integrative medicine as evidence-based and show you that this is the wave of the future. This is the new age medicine. People are demanding it. I travel a lot and I see so much of people, clinics, there's medical clinics that are implementing all of these modalities. And I really want you guys to understand that there's so much of evidence-based in this type of medicine. So one of my guests today is going to be talking about, it's a very known as sort of a quack watch thing. It's known as live blood cell technology. And I want you guys to realize that there's a proper way of doing it, and then there's an improper way of doing it. And anything taken out of context can be bad. So to shed the evidence-based in live blood cell technology, I've got a guy who's been doing it for so many years. He's a health educator. He's a personal trainer. He's been, for 30 years, he's been coaching, promoting, optimum health, and got into live blood cell technology almost about 10 years ago. So I want to introduce Ty Cannon. He's fabulous. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and Ty, we really want to educate the audience because I know when I started and when we first discussed about live blood cell technology, I had so much reservations, so much doubt, and I know that it can be done improperly and it can be used improperly. But when it's done in the proper fashion and when people are trained in the proper way, we're not saying we're diagnosing diseases or anything of that sort, but we are finding pieces of data to your health, so to speak, and we're finding some clues to what may be going on metabolically. And I just want you to tell the audience what live blood cell technology is all about.
It's a great tool for using with people. I mean, unfortunately, it has gotten a lot of bad,
and that's precisely why
press.
I want the show.
And people have done a lot of things that are just not very credible with it. They use it to sell a lot of, quack supplements, mislead people. I've had people sit down with me and tell me how they've had all these diseases and everything diagnosed with it, and it's just not. It's not designed to do that. But why I like it so much is it is the most powerful educational tool I have ever seen. And if I can share a quick story.
Yes, please do.
When I first learned how to do this, I never in a million years thought I'd be doing something like this. It just wasn't my life path. But I learned how to do it, and I had a friend of mine that I grew up with, known him since I was 10 years old. And I wanted to show him this new thing that I learned how to do. Now, he'd been with me, he'd seen me, run all my health clubs, and when I talked to him about health, diet, health, he'd nod his head, he'd take in the information as though it's valuable, but, like most people, there's that little program running in the back of their mind, that little voice, they're not going to do it. They think it's a good idea, but they're just not going to change. Every doctor I've ever talked to, every trainer, health coach, they all have the same problem. It's compliance. Getting the people to go home and make use of the information that you shared with them. So anyways, I go through this process with my friend. And, I go through and I show him, the oxidative stress, the result of the free radical damage and all this cool stuff you can see. And I wasn't trying to get him to change anything there. We've had those conversations. I wasn't trying to get him to go get supplements or anything else. I just wanted to show my friend this really neat thing I learned how to do. And I saw for the first time something I've seen literally hundreds of times since. He got really quiet. He looked down for a moment and he said, "What do I do?" And he changed right there. We had another conversation, spent about an hour just laying down, how we could make, things fit with his lifestyle. It was a little complicated because he translated. That's
where your health coaching.
So then we showed him how to make, build a program off of that. What he had seen there. When you see this on the screen, it creates a very intimate connection with what's going on. And I have proven time and time again, when you properly educate people and they truly understand what's going on, they tend to start making better decisions.
Yeah. I think it's important for you to share your experience with a situation where you said you were at this facility where it has used this and you've improved the outcomes by so dramatically?
Yeah, it was a pretty. I've always been a huge believer in this. I really recently have learned how powerful it was.
Yeah.
This goes along with a lot of what I've studied in anti-aging. Which people. There's a lot of misconception about what that is, but it's really just about improving the quality of life you have and bringing your body to its optimal state of health.
That's right.
So I took this level of coaching into a alcohol and drug recovery center, and I was really surprised when I found out about this topic. It's a much worse problem than we ever imagined.
It's becoming the #1 problem.
It's
some sort of addiction.
Over 40 million people is estimated. That's 1 in 7. That's more than the number of people dealing with heart disease, more than cancer, more than diabetes. I mean, it's a huge problem. It even surpassed the number of people dying from drug overdose, has passed the number of people dying from car accident.
Wow.
It's huge. But anyways, I went in there, this rehab facility, and was using this process with them. And it really helped them to make the changes they needed to do. Now, these are people that are fresh out of detox. I mean, it's all they can do to literally to even sit up straight. Went through this process, educated them the same way I do anybody else, and they responded really well to it. And in fact, there was an increase in the number of people that graduated the program by nearly 1,200%. It was
amazing.
The success rate in this industry is so low. I was shocked at how low it is. It's hard to get the actual numbers on it, but it floats somewhere between 2 and 10%. And even getting someone to complete a 90-day program is a huge task. And this tool proved to be incredibly effective at helping people do that.
So let's tell the audience exactly what we need, what it is. I mean, you start is basically taking a drop of your blood, right, and looking at under high-power microscope.
We look at it under a phase contrast microscope, and it's really interesting because you can see the size and shape of your red blood cells, and this can give us some indications. And again, like you mentioned, this isn't about diagnosing disease.
No.
But it can point us in some directions.
But let me tell you something. When you run like a normal CBC, which is a complete blood count through a machine, automated machine, and we get results. I'm just telling you in medicine, okay, as a doctor, okay.
Right.
And one of the things, let's say if there's any abnormality that the machine picks up, guess what the lab director there will do? He'll take the blood and he'll look at it and try to look at it under a microscope. Now, granted, there's different types of microscopes and so forth, but the idea of this is that you're looking for any indicators under a microscope, and you're looking at blood, and you're looking at blood cells. So this looking at blood cell technology, if you want to call it, it's been around for centuries.
Yeah, it's not new.
It's just looking at it at a little different perspective, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you can see, when you look at the cells.
So you get a drop of. So basically, how long? So you get a drop of blood. You make two slides, right?
There's
it's a finger prick, right? It's nothing.
It's a finger prick. You don't even feel it.
Yeah.
And we put it up there, and we look at live blood and we look at dry blood. In the live blood, we can see, like when we look at the red blood cells, when you look at the shape, if they have a lot of oval shapes, ovulocytes. Things like that. Well, that's indicative of being low in like your B complexes, iron, E, things you need to form, good healthy blood cells. You'll see, you can see signs of excess fat in the blood, which this is a really big one. When you see it and the cells start clumping together, it makes a pattern called rouleau, and that's really important because on so many different levels. We know that high-fat diet is bad for, causing heart disease and things like that. But it's a lot more than that. That excess fat on there is blocking all the cell receptors. So it's not just blocking insulin, it's blocking, all of these different things, which, can create.
So you can see, and you can
an
see
endless
that.
number of symptoms
I think
in
it would be
people.
very visually, very powerful when somebody visually could see that, and then you could tie it into, well, this is what it metabolically could be doing. You know, again, as an indicator, rather than simply having a number saying, look, your triglycerides are up, or your cholesterol is up, but actually showing what the fat, some of the fat circulating could possibly be doing. And it doesn't encompass everything, but you've done this for ages. You're seeing patterns emerge, and this is the point I want to make to everyone: is that live blood cell technology, when it's done in the proper context, there's patterns that emerge that are indicative of certain metabolic situations that could be, that are happening, and things like, and I think that's where the, so to speak, the evidence base comes in, when you can reproduce. So again, if you could just share with your experience of this, have you been able to see some patterns that have been over the 8 years, some of the similar patterns emerging?
In my training and learning how to do this, I have literally screened thousands of people.
Yeah, I know you have. That's why I wanted you on the show.
And it's been a really interesting process.
I consider you one of the world's best people to look at live blood cell technology, because just the way you've done this. Yeah. It's
when you're interviewing people, and I'm asking them, what's your diet like? Are you exercising? Do they know what their hormone levels are? Most people are clueless. This is huge. When you're talking to these people, you find a very consistent pattern of the people that are, really living that healthy life with a sense of well-being. They're doing the same things across the board. I hear all of these, debates about which diet's best and which one, and it just doesn't stack up. There's a very clear process that works for getting people to their optimal level of health, and I see it time and time again.
And then the other, in summary, have you seen these indicators or these patterns, and then when people have made changes and you repeat the live blood cell technology, do you see differences?
I see dramatic differences. See dramatic differences.
That's what I'm saying. And it's how can there's so much evidence based in this thing, because the re-emergence of these patterns, and exactly the kind of, perhaps the changes that they make, and then they redo this. It's like reproducible, right? Do you see that this pattern can be reproducible?
It's totally reproducible, and you not only see the results in the screening, but you see the results in how people feel.
Yeah.
They're telling you, I feel great. I wake up in the morning. I ask people, how well do you sleep? And most people don't sleep well.
No, they don't.
And I ask them, most people don't. Or this is a true story. I hear this maybe as much as once a month. I'll ask somebody, do you have any aches, pains, or fatigue issues? And in all seriousness, they look at me and they say, just the normal amount. There is no normal amount. Yeah. When you wake up in the morning, I ask people, when you wake up, do you need to hit the snooze alarm? Are you wide awake by the time you make it from the bed to the bathroom? Do you need caffeine or other stimulants to get through the day? Are you excited about your day? Most people aren't. That's what normal is, and that's something that's possible for everybody.
So I mean, this is huge, you guys. This is a huge lifestyle change. Listen, we're going to be running into a break, but we're going to be right back. This is Naina MD, Fusion of Science and Beauty, right here in Beverly Hills. We'll be right back.